Welcome back, everyone, to another tremendous episode of Water Polo Wednesday. We break down the latest from the Kalbus Cup at UCI with some unbelievable upsets that we don't usually see in the women's game. We've got a great guest from Italy, another Recco standout, the youngest player on the team, and we'll break down the most recent activity and events at the Men's National League in Weekend 2 that wrap up conference play. We've got some great insight, some great stats, and an even better guest coming to you straight from Hawaii. Look forward to all that, a lot more. Thanks for coming. It's Water Polo Wednesday.
Welcome to your Water Polo Wednesday destination. This is Water Polo Wednesday with Wes and Clay.
I'm Wes.
And I'm Clay. If you're following us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, Spotify, like it, hit the plus button, whatever that is. If you have something to say, leave comments or shoot us an email at waterpolowednesday@gmail.com. Wes, we had a tremendous weekend last weekend filled with a lot of action. Per usual around this time. Let's kick things off with the Kalbus Cup on the women's side. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, so look, great weekend of water polo. Maybe one of the most exciting weekends of water polo that we've just having both the men and the women playing. We've had. The Kalbus Cup is kind of the equivalent of a MPSF invite on the men's side. We've said this before. The winner of this tournament has won the NC2A championship like the last 3 or 4 years in a row. And it was a great weekend. I can't remember the last time there were like these kinds of upsets. There were quite a few upsets in women's water polo, which if anybody who follows the show, for those of you guys who have watched this show pretty regularly, we really just love good water polo. We love competitive water polo parity amongst teams because it provides really good entertainment value, and it's a lot more exciting to watch than a 20 to 1 game.
Drama, guys.
The drama, right?
We love the drama.
Yeah. In women's water polo, historically, it just hasn't happened a whole lot. There seems to be just these divides, these chasms between teams. So before I get into kind of the upsets, though, first off, congratulations to Stanford. Basically what I saw this weekend, it's Stanford versus everyone, man. They are far and away the best team. And look, nobody's surprised by this. At the end of the day, you want competitive matches. None of their matches were competitive, Clay. They didn't have a single, what I would call competitive match beyond the first quarter. All right. They took down UCLA 14-4. UCLA that just picked up Bia Mantellato, that has Paulson. They've got Lauren Steele in the goal. They went undefeated last year, and they just beat them 14-4 in the semifinal. And then they wrecked USC, wrecked them 10-6. It was 6-2 at half. They held USC to 2 goals in the first half. Nushel led the team with 3 goals. Big surprise, right? She is just remarkably talented. It's
3 goals that game.
3 of 10. That's 30% of their goals. And
I'm just saying, led the team for the weekend or led the team in the game. To clarify.
No, 3 goals in that game, in the championship game. She's really the engine there, right? She's got 2 older sisters. Obviously, her parents both very well known in the water polo world. She is just freakishly talented, just an amazing athlete. So congrats to Stanford. I don't see any way they don't win the NC2A championship. Frankly, it's like, in other years, it's really not close. I mean, you have not just their Olympians, but depth there too. So that's amazing. Congrats to Stanford. You can't take anything away from them. They showed out, man. They were ready to roll, and the roll they did.
Well, congrats to Stanford. Well, apart from that standout, who else is standing out to you? Any others that are shining bright?
Yeah. So I will start with there are 2 teams I think that had great weekends. The first was UCSD, and they came in ranked 10th to start the weekend. They were at least the 10th seed in the tournament, which, as you know, Clay, it's not a real favorable seed. You're not looking to
I would agree.
It's not the most favorable seed. All they did was knock off Davis, the number 8 team, in their first game, then the number 6 team, UCI. So huge props to them. I don't know the last time a 10 seed beat an 8 and a 6 in the same weekend like that. Love to see the competition. I absolutely love that Coach Sarah Lazat is having such an impact in her first year. Like, I can feel it coming out of that team that she's building that culture. They're playing exciting water polo. You can see them be very positive towards each other in the pool. Like, she is really building up a very competitive, but very, like, I want to say nurturing culture where, like, players are excited to play for her. And anytime you beat a Dan Clack coach team, like, you better remember that, because it just doesn't happen much. It really doesn't. Dan Clack is arguably the best coach, one of the, it's hard to say the best, but a top 3 coach, top 5 coach in the country on both men's and women's. He's just a remarkably talented coach. He gets a lot out of his players, and we've seen what he's done at UCI with turning that men's team around in like 3 years. It's been incredible. Now, the other team to talk about is Hawaii, and holy moly, did they bring it. Clay, we called them out to start the season. They had a tough first weekend, right? I think it was the Polo Palooza. They had a tough first weekend. They needed to find their rhythm and their groove and their chemistry after losing Mantelotto to UCLA. Well, all Hawaii did this weekend was smash, brother. They just had a chip on their shoulder. And this is what's exciting, is that these teams, look, Hawaii was good last year. They were really good last year. They're better this year, and they just lost the 2-time Big West Player of the Year.
How was that?
They beat Cal in their quarterfinal, which, like, who wants to play Cal in your quarterfinal?
Yeah.
Right? Not like they were a 5 seed coming in. They get Cal in the quarterfinal. They beat them 12-11. I watched Cal take down Davis. Cal looked great. Cal is a very good team.
Yeah.
So
you were calling that game, right?
Yeah, I called that game, and they were great. Then, despite losing to USC in the semi, who went on to play Stanford in the final, they go on to beat UCLA in the 3rd place match, 8-5. Emma Verneau led the team over the weekend in goals. She was remarkable. She's an Olympian. She's a French player. Remarkable by everyone that they have on that roster. They've officially arrived. Like, they're officially a team you have to take seriously going forward. Okay? And I can't remember a team losing their best player to the transfer portal, partly because it really doesn't happen in recent memory. Like, its transfer portal is fairly new. They have a first-year head coach, and they go from losing to Cal, having a couple of tough games to start the season, to now they have to be ranked 3rd. Right? They beat Cal, they beat UCLA, they lost to USC, and USC lost to Stanford. I mean, Stanford's very good. I mean, they've got to be ranked 3rd in the country at this point, right? So truly impressive. Not something we see happen a whole heck of a lot. Yeah. I think, great story there. You love to see it, man. And it's something that really makes this season interesting. In the men's side of it, we had Fordham on the rise there. I don't think this is as, like, Cinderella-esque. I mean, look, Hawaii won the Big West last year. So there's some expectations there. But it feels a little more like a Pacific. So now you hope that Hawaii can continue this run, right? Hopefully they haven't peaked too early in the season. They can continue the run. And as they go into conference play here in March, it's hard to believe it's like already March, right? It's like, holy cow, this is what's happening. Hopefully they can continue that high level of play consistency, which we've talked with a number of coaches, and that's kind of the toughest thing, as they go into conference play. And so that's kind of, those are the 2 teams I thought just were really, really good this weekend. I was just very impressed with their play. I mean, you beat Cal and UCLA in a weekend.
Yeah, that's how we're talking when we were kind of familiarizing the community, those who weren't familiar with the women's side. What's the landscape? Is there a Big Four? And there very much is a Big Four, and it's the same Big Four on the women's side. So to see a convincing win in breaking into that top 4, that's not a mysterious dark horse on the east side that's not competing directly against these teams.
Right.
Like, they're in it and they're proving it. Like, there's no theorizing about where teams are ranking now. The proof is there. Like,
it is.
They're a real contender.
They really are. And I think, what's really cool is that this parity with San Diego moving way up, Hawaii knocking off a couple of the big four, which again, we've tried to get rid of this nomenclature big four. We're probably not doing a very good job because we keep bringing it up, right?
we're in a transition period.
It is a transition period,
because
right?
It still is a thing. That's why we say it.
Yeah, and I think that this is great for the sport because the more parity that there is, the better the competition is.
Absolutely.
Right? And I mean, look, we've all been on teams where we're going into games and we're going, yeah, we don't have a chance to win this game. That really isn't a good use of our time, nor is it a good lesson for us to take that attitude or that approach. It's hard to stop. It's hard to keep yourself from thinking that for sometimes, and so it's good for I believe the mental growth of people to believe that there's a chance that they can win. It's why you play the game. And I think this is proving that, hey, these coaches, these players, they're bringing it and they're excited. So this does lead us into the first guest of the show. We're going to have two guests today. Today's guest will be the assistant coach from Hawaii, which is what a great segue, Clay. Candice Vorbeck, right after this. Welcome back, everyone. We've got Candice Vorbeck with us. Candice, great to have you, the assistant coach at Hawaii. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Fresh off practice tonight. Thank you for taking the time to join us. You guys had an unbelievable weekend at the Kalbus Cup. You've got to be all smiles today, or I guess a couple days ago when you got back. Talk to us about what that was like. I mean, you took down Cal, who you lost to earlier in the year. You just took down the reigning champs, UCLA. Like, what vibes got to be high. Talk to us about what goes on there. Like, something in the rainwater there in Hawaii. What's going on?
Something. No, this past weekend was a lot of fun. It was definitely a good morale weekend for our team, and I think, especially coming off of last year, there was a lot of talks that yes, Hawaii had a good season. It's an Olympic year, so I feel like we had a fair amount to prove, or we do have a fair amount to prove this year. Just coming back from that. Also, with us being a new coaching staff, right? James has been here before, but taking over as the head coach. I'm in my first year here. Our assistant coach, Becca, just got promoted up from grad assistant. So understanding new roles as coaches, understanding a new team, understanding a different dynamic in the water. It's just a lot to adjust to. So I think our ability to embrace the challenge of knowing that we kind of have a target on our backs from last year and we have a little bit of something to prove. I think we did a good job. I think we did a good job of preparing for this past weekend. I think we did a good job of just playing hard. I think we talked to the girls a lot about that, is being resilient in the water, being tough in the water, being able to handle hard pressure, being able to give hard pressure. And I think we were able to put it together pretty well. The season's not over though. It's a long season and we're just starting conference play after this. So while this past weekend was a lot of fun, and a good confidence boost, we can't let that allow us to slip, especially as we're going into conference. So it was great. It was so fun. But season can't stop there.
So how do you keep the momentum going? Right? Like that's super insightful. You can't get too high, too low, right? You've put yourself in a pretty decent at-large potential position, but you don't really want to rely on that. How do you keep that momentum going where you better, never best, and you don't get too complacent as you head into conference play? What's the approach there from a coaching staff look like?
I think consistency is pretty key. Right? Like we've been pretty consistent going into all of our tournaments about the implications of our outcomes, right? Between going to Triton and going to Barbara Kalbus. Like those are big tournaments for us because we don't get to play every weekend like a lot of teams do. So when we do get to play early in season, those games matter a lot. And so we have to go into them well prepared. And I think because we are so prepared early in season, it allows us later in season to keep that same level of preparedness, that same consistency. We take every opponent very seriously also. We don't overlook anybody who we're about to play. And so I think the messaging being the same going into every game and knowing that we want to get the most out of every opportunity we have to play. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is we lose an opportunity to learn and get better, right? And so between our past few weekends of high level competition, and then as we go into more high level competition in conference, keeping that messaging the same of preparing well and keeping it intense in the water, intense during practices. I mean, we balance out our season with off weekends in between travel or home games in between travel. And I think being able to give enough rest after travel and then coming back and being able to practice hard and train hard and keep the intensity up in our practices is kind of where it becomes really important.
Yeah, I mean, look, 500 miles from San Francisco to LA is not terrible. Even then, I personally always noticed I needed to get in the water immediately after a flight to just get my legs back. They felt like a little empty is how I would describe it. We're talking, you're going 3,000 miles one way, 3,000 miles back. I hope they're racking up the frequent flyer miles, and by the time they graduate, they got a full, they go anywhere in the world for free. But like, what do you do from a rest standpoint? And how, like, do you fly in early to make sure you're ready? Do you when you come back, do you give them 2 days off instead of one? Or like, if you want a really intense practice, you're probably not going to get that immediately upon return, right?
Yeah. And so we build out the season with a purpose, right? So like last weekend, we left on Wednesday. We were able to practice on Thursday, and then we started the tournament Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Good.
So we do give ourselves a day to acclimate. Whenever we get there, we'll practice in hopefully whatever pool we're about to play in. So we do have some time on the ground adjusting to the time change, and then just getting back in the water, loosening out, having a practice before we play, just to prep and kind of get a feel for the water in a new place.
Sure.
That's always really important. So getting there a day early is good for us. And then on the return, it depends on when we get back. So sometimes we'll come back on a Sunday once we're done playing. Occasionally we'll come back on a Monday morning afterwards, and that can be a little bit tricky, but we try not to do that whenever they have a school or they have classes on that Monday.
Sure.
But for instance, this week we took Monday off. We usually have a Tuesday morning practice. We didn't practice Tuesday morning. We came back Tuesday afternoon to give them enough time to rest, readjust to the time change, get back into school mode, and then come back. I mean, we're lucky that we have this upcoming weekend off, so we don't leave until next week on Wednesday, and we have enough time to keep prepping for Santa Barbara and CSUN before we head out.
Yeah, scheduling has got to be the most important part of that for you from a rest standpoint. I'm personally curious from a nutritional standpoint. Are you hydrating, like supplementing hydration, and any particular, like, it's, if you don't eat healthy and you try to travel, like I used to blow up, even short, like I just get so like swollen and like bloated because of the, being in the air. And so what do you guys do that, because this is something I think is overlooked personally, and because you have such a hard travel schedule, I imagine it impacts you even more. And so it's probably at the forefront, where if I fly to LA, I probably don't think about it as much. Like, what are you guys doing to stay hydrated, stay healthy, I guess is the question.
I think, and I didn't mention this before, but I think part of it is we practice the morning before we leave also. So we'll get in the water, we'll have a full practice in the morning, and then they go have breakfast. So they're refueling a bit right there. But you're right, hydration's key. We always have, those liquid IVs stocked in here, those emergency packets stocked up here for travel, which is always there for the girls. But I think at some point it comes down to individual needs. The girls, our athletes that have been here for 2-3, this is their 4th year of playing, they've kind of gotten into the rhythm of what travel's like. And so each of them have their own like little rituals on the plane. Like sometimes they'll bring their big parkas and blankets and everything else with them, and other people travel pretty light. So for some of this, I think it's a little bit individual, but we are pretty particular about how we're eating, when we're eating, what we're eating while we're on our travel trips, especially the day before we play and into that first night of competition. It's we're pretty selective about where we're going.
That's awesome. I love that. And I think that's one of the hydration piece, the nutrition piece, I think it's one of the most underrated components of athletics. Like truly, like as I've gotten older, it's more important, right? As most things are, but if you're doing it when you're young, it's a huge difference. A lot of us will now do like compression pants and compression tops, keep our circulation going.
And
So that's amazing to hear.
we do travel with those like Normatec sleeves and like the hips and the legs too.
Yeah,
So
I got them right here. I'm looking at them.
oh, they're great. Yeah, our trainer travels with those, so the girls definitely take advantage of those.
Yeah,
around.
Yeah, Candice, you are not native to Hawaii, right? So, I mean, I got a few questions, but can you walk us through a little bit about where you came from and like, your journey to this point, right? 'Cause a lot of people kind of think about living or working in Hawaii or doing water polo in Hawaii, maybe going to a university for 4 years, but now you're on coaching staff there. Can you lead us through your journey just a little bit?
It's I'll try to keep it brief.
Yeah.
But
You don't have all day, but like,
yeah.
No kidding.
I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. So born and raised there, played all 4 years of high school water polo in St. Louis, co-ed water polo then. And then I moved to California after that. So I went to Golden West College for 2 years. Then I played Division III at Laverne.
Real quick, getting you to California from St. Louis, was that to play higher level water polo specifically?
Yeah, all I knew, growing up, my dad played water polo. My mom was a swimmer, and so I knew water polo is what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I had some great role models at home. Colleen Lishway, who just recently passed away, she was my coach growing up. Was a big inspiration for me. So I knew I always wanted to play water polo and see how far I could push it. But yeah, moving to California to play water polo, and then as I was in college, I started coaching 12 and unders at HB Water Polo Club. So I started at HB doing 12 and unders, and it's fun because some of those girls I'm coaching against now.
Yeah.
But yeah, my college coaching career started at Pomona Pitzer, working with Alex Rodriguez, Alex Law. Had a fantastic time working with them. And then
shout out to A-Rod.
Yeah, exactly. During the pandemic, I went back home, back to Missouri, lived with my parents for a little bit. I worked at McKendree, their Division II. So I was there for a season, and then ended up back out at CSUN. So I knew I wanted to be back in California eventually, keep pushing it, see how far I could get coaching. And so I went from CSUN being an assistant to head coach at Pacific, and then now I'm here.
That's incredible. What a journey, and all the connections that you've made along the way in relationship. It's so incredible. So now that you're in your first year at Hawaii, can you talk us through a little bit about your strategy? Because you've done this a few times. When you're new to a program, especially as an authority figure, how do you get the team to buy into you? Do you have any sort of strategies or best practices to gel with the team as quickly as possible? And it's a little bit different coming into a new team as a player than as a coach.
I think being genuine is really important. Like being yourself, and like letting them get to know you and not try to like feel like you need
coming
exactly. Yeah. And like knowing that it's okay to not have all the answers, especially whenever you're coming into a new program. Like just as a freshman or transfer comes into a program, they have to learn a completely new system. I have coached for a while, but at every place I've been, it's been a new system that I have to learn. And so at times being okay saying, like, I don't know the answer to that, let me check. And letting them know that it's okay not to have the answers all the time. And I just think that's a better route than trying to come up with answers that you may or may not know, or being on a different page than the head coach or other assistants or anyone else. Like we want to be the most united front that we can in terms of our messaging and what we're telling the players and administration and everyone else. So it's okay to not know the answer all the time, and letting them know that as well. But also being aware that like there's a lot of ground to make up, and wanting to learn. Like you have to want to be a student of the game, and you have to want to learn as much as you can, as quickly as you can.
Yeah, it's you don't know, not you don't care. Like
exactly.
The caring is important. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Just the general transparency, like you need them to trust you, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the operative word, and transparency can breed trust there. So it's great.
And look, you're coming into a program with a number of Olympians. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't call out. You lost Bia Mentolato to UCLA. two-time Big West Player of the Year. Well, you just knocked them off. Like, who stepped up for you, and what's been the key to kind of do that for? Like, what's been key within this team to that success?
Well, first of all, I know for this program it was a loss to lose Bia after this year, but I think as coaches, something that we have to understand is that one team or your team only exists for 1 year, right? And every year, the only thing that you can guarantee is the seniors who are leaving. Outside of that, you don't know if people are going to transfer. You don't know if someone could get injured, decide not to come back at all. A freshman that's committed might not end up coming. So whenever you're looking at one team 1 year to the next, you're never 100% sure about what you're going to have the following year. So while it was a loss for us, that team is in the past and it's on to the present. And so I think we have a lot of really standout athletes who have stepped up into new roles as freshmen, or people who have returned who have now had to adjust their playing style or step up into roles that they didn't have to play before. So I think just within our program, I mean, we have Bernie playing on the 4-5 side. She's our left-handed attacker, and she's been a big part of this program, but I think offensively she's had to step up a whole lot more this year. She's been a much bigger threat both in transition, in front court, and 6-on-5, and she's also been a pretty consistent and outspoken part of this program that's really helped our freshmen adjust quickly. Her little sister actually just joined our team this spring, also from New Zealand, Gabrielle, and she's done an awesome job of just being thrown into the fire, getting pretty substantial minutes as she gets into the program this year, in her freshman year, and she's done a great job of adjusting and being willing to learn and make mistakes and be resilient through it and just try her best in every instance. So between the Doyles, it's been great. We have Emma Vernew coming in on our 1-2 side. She just got Big West Player of the Week this past week.
Did she earn it? My goodness.
Yeah, she's a pretty outstanding athlete. It's good to see her work ethic in the water. It's good to see her as a teammate. She's already a big part of this program. She's only been here since the fall, but her personality is pretty infectious, and it's been awesome seeing her find her place within this program.
I mean, and she's not the quintessential 5'10", 5'11", super long player. I mean, she's listed at 5'5", but I mean, she plays out of her mind. She's aggressive. She shoots hard. She moves so well through the water, right? She's really almost an anomaly at that height. And I look at her, and I compare her to a Ryan Neuschel, where they're both strong. They're kind of the engine, and they just go and go and go and go, and it's just so hard to stop them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is passion, right? She
sure, yeah, you care. She cares. Love it.
Yeah, and so she's been a fantastic addition to our program. Jordan Wedderburn is playing center for us right now. She's from South Africa, and she's another one who's had to grow and learn a lot in her time here. And she has fully embraced the fact that she's had to learn and grow a lot, and she's really stepped into a leadership role this year as a senior, as our starting center. And she's had to be really resilient and learn a lot of new techniques because she isn't a natural center. She didn't come into the program as a center, so for her having to adjust into that position and do a lot of damage has been really great. Yeah, Kemi Radosadovic, she is our other French athlete, and she can play. She's so diverse, right?
Yeah.
She can play the right side of the pool, the left side, center defender. She's a true utility player for us, and her consistency in the water is fantastic, and it really allows us to be a lot more flexible with our center defenders, especially this year. I mean, we didn't know how the season was going to look with rule changes and how our center defenders were going to be taking exclusions. So having the ability to move people around within our offense and within our defense it's been great. Speaking of center defenders, we have Morgan Rios and Tara Logan, who have been spending a lot of time in and out of the pool, and between the two of them, their defensive production, their communication skills, their ability to still be a threat offensively, it's been really fantastic for us. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Daisy, our goalie. Daisy has just been fantastic, and she's a sophomore right now. And for her, like, having a little bit more command of our defense, being able to talk through transitions, being able to demand that our players move, that they need to adjust their defenses.
We
Just
love a goalie that talks.
Oh yeah, and that's been. I mean, I wasn't here last year, but from my understanding from last year to this year, her ability to communicate has just skyrocketed. So, building that confidence in the cage it's just been great. And Ronnie Perlman again on the 4-5 side, like
Yeah.
she, another Southern California kid, has worked her way up and just gained more and more playing time and become more and more consistent. But she is consistently an offensive threat.
Let me ask you something. Like, a lot of these women you have mentioned are internationals.
Yep.
A lot. You're about as far away from Europe as you can get without starting to get closer. What's that talk track like? And like, what are you looking for in athletes to bring to Hawaii?
I think, like, first addressing how international our program is. I mean, the thing about our team is everyone here, except for one of our freshmen, is from somewhere other than Hawaii.
Yeah, so there are tourists everywhere. That's a good answer. We got that one from the Fordham coach earlier this year.
Yeah. We have one girl from Hawaii, and she's a freshman this year. So outside of her, everyone here has had to make sacrifices, both like in their journey to getting to this level, and also making this decision to come here. I mean, I get homesick, James gets homesick, Becca gets homesick, our athletes get homesick. And when you come in as a freshman, especially if you're an international freshman really far away from home, I know that can be challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It can be challenging to deal with the homesickness, being far away. It can be hard whenever your teammates can go home on the weekends and visit family or their significant others or do that stuff. But here it's like we're literally on an island, right? Like it's just us. And so Ohana is really big for us. Like being a family is really big for us. And knowing that when freshmen come in or transfers come in and they're homesick, like we have a full team of people that have done it before and can be supportive and can help out when they need to. And so I think understanding that our program is really based on everyone being from somewhere else and us being okay with that, and knowing that there's going to be times that are hard, not even in the water polo sense of things, but just like being away from home. School is hard. Water polo is hard. Being away from home is hard. But you have a community here that's here to help you. That's here to be there for you when things are hard, when you get injured, when you get sick. Like, it's not your mom taking care of you. It's your roommates and it's your teammates. And I think that bond really helps us. And when we are recruiting, whenever we're talking to domestic players, when we're talking to international players, I think our ability to be very close as a team is something that really helps us. And so having people meet the team, right? Be on a visit or via Zoom, getting to know players on our team, being able to ask questions, being able to pick people's brain, because it can be hard. There's a lot of questions about what our travel's like, what it's like away from home. Is food that much more expensive? Like little things like that sound like, or it may seem like it's not a big deal, but those are the things that just talking to people on the team and understanding what your life really looks like here, it really helps.
Well, you got the best weather. you got to sell that. I mean, it's still sunny where you are. It's pitch black here, but it's dark out. But this has been awesome, Candice. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We like to open it up. Love to hear these stories. These are what make this podcast so much fun. We like to say the studio is yours. If there's anything you'd like to share with people out there, anything at all, what you were looking at recruits or just what you're doing, what you're having fun, it's all yours, man. It's all yours.
Oh man, I just say that whenever it comes to our program, I talked about passion earlier with a few of our players, but I think passion and a love of the game is really what our program comes down to. I think we also are very aware of how lucky we are. I mean, I like to say that I have the best job in the world and I get to do it in the most beautiful place imaginable. And I know how lucky I am for that. And I think our players, our staff are all very aware of the opportunity that we have, and we don't take it lightly. I love water polo and I love my job, and I fully love whenever I can do my job and enjoy it and enjoy the people I work with. And I think we're in a position where our team has some great people on it, like truly great humans. We have a love for the sport, and really we just want to have a good time, right? And there's times whenever things are serious, there's times whenever we need to buckle down and focus in. But if we're able to enjoy this game, this sport that we all love, and do it at the highest level and take it seriously, I think that's a combination that it's special. And I feel like we really are a part of something special here between the team and where we're at.
Well, I played for you, Candice. I'm in. That was amazing. I'm inspired. I really am. I'm inspired. I think you can feel the passion in your voice and how much you truly love this. And I think that is something that you have to have. You just have to have it. Otherwise, it's hard to follow someone who is kind of apathetic towards things. So good on you. It's been wonderful, wonderful getting to know you. Thank you for taking the time tonight, and good luck the rest of the season. Hopefully we see you guys soon, as you head into your conference play.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Candice.
Yeah, take care.
Have a good one.
It was awesome to have Coach Candice on. It's so special when we get coaches on the podcast. Such a wonderful perspective that they bring to this game. Really insightful stuff. Transitioning over to Men's National League, which weekend 2 was underway. The second weekend of conference play. Wes, you were on deck all weekend again in different roles. You actually were commenting and coaching. But you commentated on the Mission versus Channel Cats game specifically, and you're coaching with LA Athletic Club. Talk us through the South Conference results and what you saw.
Yeah, so great weekend. Look, it's been so far so good. Couple of crazy games this weekend in the South Conference. The first was Nyack versus the USA junior team. It's the game of the week. It was 5-5 at half. Nyack ends up pulling away. I don't think the junior team scored in the third quarter, but look, the junior team looked absolutely smoked. It was their third game of the day, which, look, they're young. I get it. But 3 games in a day is brutal. Yeah. 2 games in a day is brutal. Do you know any other sport that will play 3 games in a day ever?
No.
That's insane. No. And 2 is like the anomaly for baseball, which I think the total time of action in a baseball game is like 10 total minutes or 14 total minutes. So pretty tough. But to that point, right, where Nyack kind of pulled away from the junior team in the second half, they then took on O Club the next morning, and guess who looked gassed, right? Nyack looked tired. So O Club had 3 real cruising type games. They played the bottom group of their conference in the South Conference, and then geared up for Nyack. That was obviously their focal point for the weekend. Yep. Where Nyack had 2 tough games, a junior team and O Club, and it just goes to show when you play someone really does matter. I mean, it really does matter. It's especially in our sport with how demanding and physically challenging this is. I think that it's a very tough sport to play, and you gotta be fresh. You gotta have your legs and your lungs and your shoulders. I mean, just about everything, right, Clay?
Yep, absolutely. And we keep saying under our breath that we can't wait for this league to extend in a way that allows for there to be that breathing room where guys can just focus on a couple games a weekend. That would really elevate the quality of the league. I'm sure everyone who came to see O Club face Nyack would love to see 2 full force Nyack and O Club teams, and the same thing for the game of the weekend. They'd love to see a full force USA Pipeline team face Nyack. This is the best we're doing right now, and we're learning as we go. Moving on to the North Conference, Wes, where you have Channel Cats, LAC, and El Trojan, and these teams. What did you see there?
Yeah. So Mission remained undefeated, and good for them. They went 6-0 in conference. Awesome. I mean, they're the net reigning champs. Like they're a good team. Yeah. They're legit good. It's not surprising at all. LA Athletic Club lost a heartbreaker in a shootout, up 4 going into the fourth quarter to Trojan. It didn't end up hurting them in the standings. We'll walk through the standings in a minute here. Still a tough loss, however. The big upset of the weekend, however, was Channel Cats losing to Long Beach. And where Channel Cats was scheduled to be 3rd in the conference, That loss moves them down to 5th, which is brutal when you think about playoff implications, because they've already beaten Trojan.
Yeah.
And had they beaten Long Beach, despite Trojan winning in a shootout, because you only get 3 points for a shootout instead of 4, had they beaten Long Beach, I mean, they'd be 3rd, and that's a big difference. Your quarterfinal is very different. Your semifinal, your grouping is very different.
Especially when they're playing Mission so close, right?
Yeah,
in their game it was very close for some time until Mission started to pull away, and they're up by 1 against LA Athletic Club in the 4th. So to end the conference play with that loss must be heartbreaking.
It is, and look, it's not reflective of what I think they are as a team. They're a very good team. Again, when we talk about when you play people, they had Mission Saturday afternoon. And that was a close game. They rallied, they fought. I mean, I was on the call, and I think I said probably 4 or 5 times, they keep fighting back. These guys never gave up, and they continue to claw and claw and claw. No pun intended, being channel cats, right? Like, they continue to claw their way back and keep in it. I know that sometimes there's coincidences, right?
That's going to be put on their social media for sure.
Yeah, but they never gave up, and you love to see that, because at the end of the day, like, they were fighting so hard, and they couldn't get the stops. They were able to score, they just couldn't get the stops, and that, unfortunately, kind of didn't work out for them. I know that Japyash wasn't there.
Yeah,
what's that? Yeah, they're a tough team to stop. Japyash wasn't there, so that hurt them. I mean, I think Japyash is the best goalie in National League. I'm not going to say I think. I know he's the best goalie in National League. And that's a huge deal, because there's not another one of him, right? And I think it was really tough for them. So the rest of the games going forward are out of conference games. Now, what that means is that they're basically exhibition. They're basically exhibition games. So we'll go ahead and share the standings, these conference standings. You will see here, conference record. Seeding will primarily be determined by each team's conference record, okay? The record within their respective conference. And what you're looking at most likely, and look, Olympic Club has a couple of games left to play. They've got Pipeline left and Riptide left. This will be a good game. I don't know who Pipeline's going to have for that weekend, because it's spring break for a lot of those kids. And then Riptide, I think they'll handle Riptide, just given that Riptide's kind of 1-4 there. And so Olympic Club, they'll be the first team out of the South Conference. Don't know if they'll be ranked ahead of Mission, but we'll see. So basically, the way it'll work is it'll be like they'll take a team from North Conference or a team from South Conference, and then alternate up and down. And so, 1, 3, 5, 7, or 2, 4, 6, 8, all the way to 12. But that sets up a really exciting championship. Like, this is awesome. The parity, look at the parity in the North Conference. Yeah, Mission was undefeated. You got LA with a 4-1-1. You've got Trojan with a 3-2-1 here. Long Beach is 3-3. Channel Cats is 3-3. Like, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah, South Conference, a little heavier up top. Nyack, O Club, Olympic, and then Anteater's kind of in the middle, but Riverside 2-4, Riptide 1-4, Sunset 0-6, and so North Conference very competitive. Both conferences very competitive. A little deeper in the North Conference in that there's a little more parity. But look, great water polo. Good to see. You love to see it, and it's exciting. It's really exciting. And so the schedule we'll go over the schedule. We've also got a very, very special guest joining us next week to talk about National League. We're not going to tip our hand as to who it is, but really looking forward to this particular Olympian. He is an Olympian, and so we're excited about that. And we'll see how the rest of this kind of non-conference exhibition stuff kind of shakes itself out.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Gavin Arroyo over at Long Beach State, not affiliated with Long Beach Aquatic Federation, I believe is their National League title. And as he's coaching the guys during the week or chatting with them, I'm asking like, hey, what's the vibe with the college guys? Because we're pretty dialed in with the attitude of our players in our team at LA Athletic Club, and we know other men's clubs are pretty jazzed with National League. Like, are these
Yeah.
guys that are in college excited to be a part of this league? And he says, yeah, they love it. Like, it's
That's
a
awesome.
really great competition, and that made me really happy to hear. I wasn't sure if it's like it's just another thing that they have to do, but the fact is, this gives them games to look forward to, because otherwise they're just kind of
They're
training and there's
swimming.
nothing to battle for around this time. So when they're doing laps, they're training, whatever, it gives them something to look forward to. And I think that
Yeah.
that's really encouraging and awesome with this new league format, that everyone's bought in and everyone is like wanting to support what's happening. So it's just great to hear and see.
Yeah, you love to hear that. It's great insight. I'm glad you got a chance to catch up with him too. I had a chance to chat with him
I love
as
Gavin. He's
well.
great.
Yeah, he's one of our favorites. He's great. He's a great coach, man. So yeah, we're excited about where this is kind of going. So next up, our second guest, this one coming to us from Pro Recco, the youngest member of Recco today, and reigning world champion on the junior side of it, Bence Haverkampf. Welcome back, everyone. We have Bence Haverkampf, the world champ with the Hungarian youth team this last summer, as well as standout now on Pro Recco. Bence, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. So Bence, I have so many questions to ask you. I mean, it's not every day that somebody at your age plays for Pro Recco. Like, it's very, very unique. What has that been like for you, being like one of the youngest players ever on Pro Recco as a foreigner?
For me, a really big dream came true with joining Recco. Like, it was really unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got the call from my coach on a Sunday that I have to sign, or that I have to decide it until Monday. So I had basically one night to decide, and of course I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm really happy to be here, and I think it's good for me because of course, Rec was maybe this year not the same like it was before because they had some money issues and stuff like that. But I'm glad that I can help the team and can help Recco with my performance, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and you're playing extremely well, and you're coming off of a big world, world championship win with the Hungarian youth team. Talk to us a little bit. I'm kind of curious what that experience was like. You know, we've talked to Andras Todt, we've talked to Bolton Baloch, we've talked to a number of guys from that team. I'd love to get your perspective. Like, it's an unbelievable accomplishment. Got another tournament coming up this summer, but talk to us about what that was like to win that tournament.
I mean, for me, it was the fourth juniors. Like, we had the two European championships and two world championships. This was the fourth, and we won before our first two tournaments, the European Championships, the World Championships. Then we had like a small downfall, I would say. Like, we finished only fourth at the European Championships, but I think this was good for us because we decided to come back stronger next year for the World Championships, which we won. And when I think back, it was just an amazing time. Like, the whole summer with this group. Um, like, I think eight of us or seven of us made the whole journey, like, with this team, like, because they changed always some players, but I think eight of us made all four tournaments, and we become like really close, like a small family, I would say. And just the chemistry was there. We had a lot of fun also with the coach. The chemistry was very good. I mean, when we had practice, we did some jokes, but when we had to work, we worked, and we did like a good balance between having fun and work hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was the key to win these world championships, because we really liked each other and we liked to be together. So it wasn't like 6 weeks be together with some random guys and you have to practice
Yeah.
every day. So no, you wanted to go to the practice. Of course, was hard, but you had fun with the guys, so it was a very, very good experience. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. So much of the time we see the championship win, right? We see the gold medal, we see the finals or the semifinals and the tournament itself. What nobody ever sees or knows is the chemistry and the work that goes in prior, right? That's what we say championships are won in the off season, right? That's where it's really kind of things come together and solidified for you
yes,
as a
yes.
team. And that's awesome to hear. And I assume if you get selected, you'd love to play in world champion junior worlds this year, potentially world championships, I guess, in July, but junior worlds I think it's June in Croatia, right?
I think yes, in June.
Yeah.
June.
And so that's the plan for you is to hopefully join
Yes,
that
yes,
team
of
as well.
course, of
Yeah.
course. I mean the preparation time is really short. Like we have only 2 weeks, I
Yeah.
think, because the season ends in like May 25 or May 26.
Yeah.
Same thing in Hungary. They play on the last weekend, the final eight. So we have only 2 weeks to prepare. And yeah, I hope I make it to the team. And we played with the same team last year, the European Championships, which we finished fourth place.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the first tournament with this group, so maybe this time will be better. So we
Yeah.
know each other better. Yeah,
Yeah. It's always tough. That first tournament's always hard. You get pressure
yeah.
tested, you're figuring each other out and who's going to do what and when and that kind of thing for sure. So now transitioning more to the Italian league. You played for Ferencváros growing up, right? And you were on kind of Ferencváros last year. How is the Italian game and maybe being at Pro Recco different than playing for the Hungarian giant there?
Like I grew up in Germany playing water polo. Like I played only 2 years for Ferencváros, but what I was what I was like what the difference is between the Hungarian and the Italian league. Like I don't know, it's I would say more physically maybe in the Italian championship and maybe more like more this Italian style, the counter attacks, the fast play. But I mean it's pretty similar because it's different. It's the same sport, It's not a big difference. But I would say maybe that like in Italy they like more the counter attacks to swim, to go inside, maybe to simulate sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, more theatrical. We
yeah,
maybe say,
yeah,
yeah.
bit.
No, that makes sense. Is there anything you've learned that you've been able to pick up and say, well, I maybe didn't know this playing in Germany. Love to hear about that more too. But playing in Germany, playing in Hungary, playing in Italy, like something maybe you've learned in Italy that you maybe didn't know when you were playing in other countries.
Like in Italy, I play almost all the time on the right side.
Yeah.
I played before also on the right side, but I was more like left side player. I played sometimes back defender as well, but now I think it's good for me to get some experience on the right side too.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I can play on every position, and it's just great to see Francesco Di Fulvio, Fondelli, and all these players on the practice. I mean, I had some really good players at
Yeah.
Ferencváros too, but
I
but
mean, you played
I
with Danish Varga. You played with some unbelievable players.
yes. Yes, no, but back in Ferencváros, I practiced a lot with the first team, but I wasn't like real part of the first team. I was more
Yeah.
the youth player.
Yeah.
So here I can say I'm part of the first
Mm-hmm.
team. I'm playing here in the youth as well, but I'm practicing always with the first team. So
Mm-hmm.
so I'm playing more against them. I see them every day. I play with them together every day. So this makes a big difference, I think, and I think it helps me. Like it was a good decision to come here because I have more time to play, like more play time. So I think this is the most important one for me to just play.
Of course.
Yes.
And so, where would you say the food is the best between Italy, Hungary, and Germany? I heard you're
Uh,
quite the cook. I've heard you cook quite a bit.
yes, yes. Yeah, I'm cooking for Jack, and I think he likes it. but I don't know. I really like the Hungarian food, but the Italian is also good. Like I also love Asian food, so I don't know. But what I could eat every day is probably Italian food because the pasta or the pizza is like easy to eat every day. Hungarian food is more, I don't know, a bit heavier.
Yeah.
So I miss the Hungarian food, but I'm good with the Italian food for
Yeah.
now.
That's awesome. And so being in Pro Recco, right, in Camogli there, like amazing food, amazing location.
Yes, yes.
Have you found like your way in the community? Like it's different, right? Hungary's, I think, very different socially than Italy. I would call out, having lived in both personally. Have you found your way there? You feel very comfortable, or has it been more challenging for you in this?
No, the people here are really amazing. I came here the first day, everybody was super nice and they welcomed me uh, very well. Everybody was helpfully. They texted me if I need something, I can text them, and they invited me immediately to barbecue fest. So I felt really good from the first second on. So I would say I had no struggles to feel home. I
That's
would
great.
say here, yeah.
That's great. And so, talk to us a little bit about your future plans, right? Like you're at Pro Recco this year, unbelievable. Again, one of the youngest players ever to join Pro Recco as a foreigner. Um, what's the goal? What I mean, you want to make the Olympics in 2028. What are your plans, man? Love to hear what your thought process is.
Yeah, no, of course, 2028 Olympics are
Is
my
that your
big
dream?
goal.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's in 4 years, so I have a lot of small goals to accomplish until that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, no, I still don't know what's gonna happen to me next year. So I'm on loan here. Like I have a 1+1 contract with Recco. So if they agree, I can stay here one more year. If not, I'm going back to Ferencváros.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I feel really good here, and I'd love to stay one more year.
Yeah.
But it's on them. So we will see. But yeah, my goal is to become uh, I would say like also Recco, and if I go back to Ferencváros, like an important player, not a player who is like, okay, we can put him in the
Yeah.
water, he's there. I want to decide a game or to bring something to the team, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
And
that.
I mean, that's a key point, right? It's not just being there. It's getting those moments and those
Yes,
minutes
yes.
and those opportunities, right? Who would you say is the toughest team that you've played against? Like who did you feel was like the most challenging team that you guys have faced off against this year? And it can be Euro Cup, it can be Italian League. I know you were training with Marseille last week, right? Like talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, we played also Ferencváros this year, like
Mm-hmm.
some practice games in January. We played some one bad game against them and three really good games.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Marseille was a good practice now, but I would say in the Italian league, the hardest opponent is maybe I think Brescia.
Sure.
We played tied. We played 8-8 with them, I
Mm-hmm.
think. So they are really good, and I think Savona is also pretty good. But if you play well, I think we have to beat them both.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say Savona and Brescia are the strongest opponents here, and also physically, they are more prepared than the other teams. They are faster, shooting better, stronger. So it's tough to play against them.
Now you have a big game coming up. Your Euro League is what I think it's this week, right? Euro Cup is this week,
Yes,
and you're facing,
yes,
I believe, Vasas.
Vasas, yes,
This
yes.
was my old club. Um, are you excited about this? It's a little, you're playing a Hungarian team. They're very good, or they've historically been very good, very storied program.
No, I can't play Eurocup because they couldn't sign me for the Eurocup roster.
Okay.
But no, the we prepared really good for Vasas. I think we had like a video today. We were also preparing something against their attack. So I think we're good prepared. I think it's going to be a tough game in the Comiadi because they always play very good at home, especially
Yeah.
in the Euro Cup games.
Yeah. The Komyati is very loud too.
Yes. But I think we will make it, and at home will be easier for us, I think.
Yeah. Bence, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck,
Thank you again
in the
for having
Italian
me.
league and whatever else you guys have got going on. You guys seem to be playing all the time. Anything you'd like to share with people out there? Any advice you want to give to people? Given that you're pretty successful for somebody your age, it's really an honor to have you here. Love to hear any words you've got. We like to say the studio is yours.
Yeah, just to keep going, don't stop. Also, if you have like some bad days or you don't make your goal, try to set up new goals and try to accomplish them, and just never give up. Yes.
I love it. Bence, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon, man. Stay in touch.
Thank you. Ciao,
Yeah.
ciao.